Frederick, Maryland. More than 40 years after his death, the body of former CIA scientist Dr. Frank Olson has been exhumed. Olson's son Eric is convinced his father was murdered by agents of the American government because he wanted to leave the CIA. Dr. Frank Olson was an expert for anthrax and other biological weapons and had top security clearance. Forensic pathologists at George Washington University performed an autopsy and concluded that Olson probably was the victim of a violent crime.
I was very strongly identified with him. I loved him. And I'm sure that's why, in the end I came to, take on this task of trying to figure out what had become of him.
It has been 8 years since the exhumation. Eric Olson is still searching for the reasons behind his father's death in November of 1953. Eric was 9 years old at the time. It's a quest he inherited as the oldest of 3 children, to solve the mystery of their father's death.
My real memories of my father are not very, many or very clear, because the trauma of his death really kind of darkened a lot of these memories. His death was, so dark and so unmentionable. I mean, after he died, it was a subject that one couldn't really go near.
Eric Olson has returned to live in the house his father built for the family in Frederick in 1950. Back then, Olson Sr. was one of the biochemists responsible for the Biological Weapons Center the U.S. Army ran nearby. The anthrax letters that killed 5 and caused illness to several others have haunted Eric ever since. Could there be a connection between his father's death 5 decades ago and the acts of terror taking place today?
We've been exposed to anthrax.
Fight against anthrax.
I don't have anthrax.
Confirmation that anthrax killed 2 Washington postal
One man
workers.
is dead.
Being nervous these days.
Those are the facts.
It feels like every
I don't
time
have anthrax. We've been exposed to anthrax.
Which serves the White House.
The deadly disease that frightened America after the terrorist attacks on September 11th seems to have come from the same U.S. Army laboratory in Frederick, where Olson had worked, Fort Detrick.